lender fees, admin fees, legal fees, broker fees, etc. So if a lender is charging you 14.99% and a 4% lender fee, and another lender is charging you 15.99% and a 1% lender fee, which deal actually is the better option for the borrower? The 15.99% and the 1% lender fee is a much better borrowing option than the 14.99% and the 4% lender fee. So we have to understand how a private mortgage is structured as a borrower, so you don't find yourself in a problem and find yourself stuck in a situation that you can't get out of very easily, which is what happens to a lot of borrowers, because the timeline for a private mortgage is usually 1 year to 3 years, and 3 years is on the really long end. It's usually a 1 year product where you're trying to fix or remedy a situation or a crisis you found yourself in.
Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick break. Ryan will join us on the other side of the break, and we're going to continue our conversation with Ray McMillan of the McMillan Group, Inc. We're going to be continuing our conversation about navigating private mortgages as a borrower. So we are going to take a short break, come back any seconds, and all three of us will be together, and we're going to continue the conversation, continue asking questions. Please put a comments, all right? So we'll be back in about 90 seconds to lock it in.
And that's what I feel like. You feel like you're the Harriet Tubman of the mind.
I am.
I feel like I'm I'm one of the Harriet Tubmans of intelligent Black people. Like, I want to liberate y'all from like being left behind and ignored and oblivion. Now, really, the rappers get all the attention. Seriously, does anybody else feel this way? Like ignorant Black people, they'll be all up, getting all the headlines on the Shade Room.
Overly sexualized Black folks.
Like the twerkers and the, just people that, don't always represent the best of us, the diversity, like people like Dr. Vibe. Like, everybody should know about people like Dr. Vibe. Dr. Vibe he's trying to do good work for Black people.
Dr. Vibe from Toronto. Good to see you, my brother. Dr. Vibe. Everybody follow Dr. Vibe. He has a great show. He's very good at what he does, and I have a lot of respect for him.
Okay, so let me hop into this. What's up, Dr. Vibe? How you doing? Everybody, if you see Dr. Vibe in the chat, everybody go follow the Dr. Vibe show. Dr. Vibe is a real smart brother and a good human being. I like the guy a lot, and he's very intelligent, and I think everyone should pay attention to what he's got going on. We got to shine the spotlight on the intelligent Black people out here that are really doing the good work. Don't just pay attention to the rappers and the celebrities. A lot of these people are losers. Your true winners are your people in your community that are really having your back, helping us to have stronger families and a stronger community. So Dr. Vibe is in that category. So you might see the Dr. Vibe show in this chat. If you see him, please go follow him. Okay. All right. So anyway.
Okay. Ryan Knight is in the house. What is up, Ryan Knight?
Hey, good to see you, Dr. Vibe. Let me know if the connection's okay. If it's a bit choppy, I'll switch. But
no, you're good. You're good. How's the family doing?
Very good. It's a bit rainy today on the walk, but Ray, always good to see you. And I have a specific question for you, because the private mortgage world can be very scary. Very scary. And I know people that lock into a private, just to get the deal done, but then getting out of the private is proving difficult in today's climate. So I'm curious, could you walk us through kind of the best ways to get out of a private mortgage once you use that to get a home?
Yes, and that's the scary thing for many private borrowers. They don't understand what is required for the exit strategy. Before getting into private mortgage, you have to have a very clear-cut exit strategy. And the term loan to value, LTV, is one of the first things you need to understand. So, as I said earlier before you got on, private borrowing or private lending is unregulated. No regulation. So the lender will lend you against your property based on the location, the type of property, the condition of the property, and where he thinks the value is going to go in the future. As you're all aware, we've been blindsided over the last year. The property values are flat or have declined in many instances. So if you got a second mortgage to go out in 2022, 2021, and you took it out at 75% loan to value, and your intention was to go to a major institution, whether it's a B lender or a private, and refinance to pay it off. And rates have increased and values have declined. You're going to find, in the regulated mortgage space, where there are specific criteria to qualify for that mortgage. So if your property value is dropped from $1 million down to $900,000 or $850,000, and you finance up to 80% loan to value, which is $800,000, you are now somewhere about 92% loan to value. Then you combine your first and second mortgage with your current property, and that is a challenge that many people are finding themselves in today. They can't get that private mortgage. The bigger challenge you've got is if the private lender declines to renew the mortgage. And that is also happening, as he or she has now found themselves in a much higher risk position because of the decline in value in your property and the inability to probably sell it if you default and get all their money out. So they want to refinance their property. So you're now stuck. We come to a rock and a hard place. And that's where the whole mortgage plan is very important, right? And it's easy to take that private mortgage to close that deal, but you have to have a very clear-cut path to exit it, whether it's a year from now or whether it's 2 years from now. The other thing you want to make sure the private lender, and again, remember, this is the individual like myself or yourself is lending you the money, whether it's $50,000 or $1 million. It's an individual has access to money, whether it's theirs or it's pooled funds, and they have their own guidelines. So the thing you want to be very clear of is what, if any, are the renewal clauses if you can't pay it off at maturity.
Right.
And most people don't know what that is. Because remember, your private mortgage commitment is usually one page. It's not like when you go to the TD Bank or Royal Bank, they give you 15 pages of tons of clauses. One page. Property located at 1 Military Drive. Appraised value is $1 million. Your first mortgage is $600,000. Second mortgage $150,000. Rate is 13.99%. Payments on the first of the month. And that's all the stuff. It's a very simple document, usually one page, signed by the lender, signed by yourself. It's sent to the lender's lawyer, gets the funds once the appraisal is complete. That is the process. Private lending. It's the oldest business in the world. It started around 1800 BC. It is nothing new. It hasn't changed in the last 2,000 plus years.
True.
It is that simple. But the key is it is not regulated. You have to understand what the fees are, what the clauses are, what the power of sale options are if you default. Is it one payment? Is it 1 month? Is it 2 payments? Is it 3 months? All those things most borrowers don't even pay attention to because the primary focus is to get that money and close that deal. And usually you got a realtor, no offense to the good realtors out there, but it's usually the realtor telling you, okay, you can afford the same, you can pay this $1,500 extra. Well, if you're struggling paying the $3,000 a month on the first mortgage, and now you're short $100,000, you got to get a second at 13.99%. That's not $1,400 a month. That's a lot of money.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So the best option in many cases is to not do the deal if you're buying, or if you're a homeowner and you're in that situation. Through whatever circumstances, you better off selling your home. And that is a conversation that is very, very difficult for many homeowners in crisis. They're going to like the Titanic. I mean, they're going to sink. There's no way out of it. Not in today's environment. For many people today, if you're at 80% loan to value in financing, you probably have to wait about 3 or 4 years in this current interest rate environment to get out of that private mortgage.
But then private mortgages typically aren't that long. I mean, at 6 months, maybe 12 months. So because that it turns over so quickly,
usually
there's
12
no
months.
time to now wait for the market to correct. Yeah.
And that is the dilemma of many of our folks who are in that private mortgage space. Once you're born between 75 and 80%, where you tapped out on your equity in your home, as you said, it's 6 months to a year. Usually it's a year, 12 months. That 12 months goes by very fast. And as we've seen what has happened now with more stringent lending guidelines from the prime lenders and the increase in interest rates, there is no exit. Coming back to my earlier comment, you have to know what the renewal options are in that private mortgage. So with the private mortgage, you've got your mortgage commitment, and then you've got your borrower's disclosure and your lender's disclosure. With all the mortgage terms have to be disclosed in there. The challenge is most people don't read those documents. Right?
Exactly.
We got clients come to our office. I said, "Did you read this stuff?" And they say, "No, they never read it." So I took it to the lawyer. You have to remember that most times the lawyer is acting on behalf of the lender, not on behalf of you. It's the lender's lawyer.
Boy, yeah.
So you've got to get what's called independent legal counsel and find your own legal counsel. Pay him your $500 or $600 and have them renew the documents and determine whether this mortgage is appropriate for you. Right? So you've got, as a borrower, you have to do your due diligence. And I'm going to repeat it again, you have to know what your exit strategy is. And for many people, it may mean selling that property.
And that's a tough pill sometimes. Even though just to mention it will get people's back up. So,
okay. Well, I just want to catch up with some questions and comments.
I mean, in my experience,
No, go ahead, Ray.
In my experience over the last 25 years as an independent mortgage professional, I've only had 2 clients take that advice from me. In my experience, only 2 clients have taken that advice from me, and both of them came out ahead of the game when they did that. One guy felt total relief when he sold his home. He couldn't believe it. He rented the place for I think a year and a half. Then he bought a brand new home from the builder. Which is what makes sense. Your home, take the equity out, pay off all the debt. You go to the builder now, you got a year and a half to start to navigate the mortgage space. You put the money down on a new home, you rent a place for a few months to your family, and then you rebuild it. Right? Now in today's environment, if you took out the mortgage 2 years ago, and you were 80%, and you sell your home today, you might not have the resources to go back into a new home in the very near future. You have to rent for a while, probably 2 to 5 years. And that is something you have to, adjust your thought process to. So it's, as I said, between a rock and a hard place. Either you go down to like the Titanic, or you get out and try to reinvent your life.
So true.
All right. Okay, I'm gonna catch up with some comments. Is that we're working with a delay, but we're working through it. So some comments here. Shirley J says, "Hello, Ryan." Shirley J says, "Nice to meet another Shirley J." I didn't know that. We have Muhammad. We haven't seen you in a while. Hello, my dear elders. Frequency Event Promotions, asking how those are doing. I'm Black Alicious. I don't know what anyone else is. Muhammad is chiming in from Sierra Leone.
Okay.
So we have a question here from Divine Right. Divine Right says, for private mortgages, do they check your credit? And if so, do they give those with fair credit a chance at getting a mortgage, or is the interest rate even higher?
The answer is yes, they do check your credit. And the reason you have to check the credit when you're lending money to anyone is to get an idea of what items are on their credit report. I don't mean credit card payments and that kind of stuff. I'm talking about judgments and garnishments and liens and that sort of stuff. So, I mean, if you owe alimony or child support and it's a lien from the state, federal, or provincial government, it's going to show your credit report. If you owe income tax arrears, if there's a judgment against you for a court case, right, you can have great credit. If you had a judgment for $100,000 because you were in a legal issue and it wasn't settled properly, it wasn't settled timely. So the lender will check your credit report, but your credit score is not going to give you much leeway in terms of rate or fees. You're in a very, very different borrowing space at this point in time. So, I mean, ideally, if a client has a margin, they need to raise $50,000 for whatever reason, whether it's for paying off bills or to do renovations in their home, the first thing they'll probably do is get a HELOC, which is a home equity line of credit. And that's reserved for the folks with the best credit scores, usually above 720, or better credit scores, I should say, not best. That's the first step you would take, right? Because it doesn't always make sense to pay off your existing mortgage, particularly if you have a rate that is much lower than the rate in today's environment. And you basically have that HELOC for a while, do what you want to do. And as rates adjust themselves, which they probably will in the next 3 or 4 years, then you do what is called a refinance and you pay off the HELOC and life goes on. The other option, if you can't get a HELOC, is do a mortgage refinance. Where you take your existing mortgage, look at the cost of breaking that mortgage, penalties, fees, etc. And if the rates on the new mortgage and the current mortgage is not that wide of a spread, then you do a refinance, extend your term in the US or amortization here in Canada. Your payments may drop in many cases if it's done properly, and then you have access to the money. The third option is the private mortgage. And that's usually a case when there is issues with the real estate, the person's credit score, they can't show income properly, or it's just a very, very difficult deal to get done. But the credit profile is always reviewed by any prudent lender. I will not lend money to anyone without seeing their credit report, because remember, they're creditors who come in advance of you as a lender, and that is federal government, provincial or state government, the municipal governments. So if you got liens from those people on your credit profile, and I lend you $100,000, and you got a lien from the federal government for $100,000 in income taxes, and this put a lien in your home, then I am now way down the totem pole when it comes to getting my money back. And if values are dropping, rates are rising, my money might disappear into thin air. So it's prudent of me to go through your credit profile to get a pretty good sense of what's happening. Also, I mean, not every client in crisis, most clients in crisis aren't bad people. Just bad things have happened to them. By looking at your credit profile, I can get a pretty good sense of what kind of person you are, right? If you got a 7-year credit history, and for the last 6.5 years, everything was fine, and then suddenly the last 6 months, your credit went haywire, then usually there's a story, there's an explanation. So if I know that story, then I am more inclined to help you through the process. But if you're perpetually a credit delinquent, then I'm going to be a little more tight with my lending guidelines, or how I deal with you as a borrower, as opposed to somebody who's going through a crisis. And by that, usually is divorce, a parent got ill, somebody passed away, or a job loss. Those are usually the reasons, right? Marital breakdown is one of the highest ones. So that person, you tend to be a little more. And then you want to see how do they get out of this mortgage a year from now? You know, do they plan to sell the house? Do they plan to downsize? Do they plan to, is a child at home finishing school and going into a job where they're going to help their parents? It's all questions. Understand how they're going to pay you back 12 months from now. But if they can't pay you back 12 months from now, it's now a higher risk transaction. So two things happen. I charge you higher lender fees, and I charge you a higher interest rate. And I put very stringent clauses in there. If you miss a payment on my mortgage, I'm going to start legal proceedings against you right away. I'm taking your house from you. And that's how it works.
Right.
And as a borrower, it is very important to understand that that's the land you're in. Like clients come to me all the time, I got this power sale document from my lender. And I says, well, what do you want us to do? Go call you. Let them try and deal with that for you. That's the only thing you can do. Yes. Because in today's market, it is very difficult if you're the highest loan to value on your current mortgage to really go, and then the new lenders won't take a problem. If you're struggling your current mortgage and your home has little equity in it, why would I know as a new lender want to take that mortgage on? You can't pay that guy. How are you going to pay me? Nothing has changed in your life.
Yeah, it tells the story.
Right? So
exactly.
As borrowers, you have to understand that, and clients come to us. Like the worst client to deal with is one who's desperate, right?
True.
Right? They sign everything, they don't read it stuff. Take it home, review it, take it to your lawyer, No, I need to get this done right away. No, I don't want to deal. I don't want to deal with you because there's no plan for going to pay this money back.
Okay.
You
So
really have
the-
your host one of powers here. It happen.
Yeah.
Okay, we got some more questions here, and thanks to the people on Instagram: Jake, Cheryl Loveblug, Daniel Rossi, Scotian with the potion, joined in. Cheryl Loveblug,
Yeah, I love
I
that.
know who
What was
that
that?
is.
Scotian with the potion?
Yeah.
I have to follow that
All right.
Instagram.
We've got some more questions. Next question for Ray from Verna G. Her question is: how and when is the mortgage paid off if the borough only pays the interest?
Oh, good question.
It's never paid off.
Oh, what?
You might respond. It's never paid off. The intention is to refinance, usually in a year to 3 years, combine the two mortgages, and then go back to an institutional lender and pay it off. But if you don't find yourself in that situation, then you have to keep on renewing that mortgage, and you have to hope that the existing current lender wants to renew your mortgage. Because we did a segment a few months back when I spoke about private lending as an opportunity for investors. As a private lender, I don't want you to renew your mortgage. I want you to pay my money back because I make more money lending on new deals than renewing your mortgage for you. Because I can renew you with 4% renewal fee, right? But I can lend my money at 4% lending fee. On the renewal, I probably have to charge you 1%. I don't want to charge you 1%. I want my money back so I can lend it again.
Right. Oh, so that money is locked up.
So that's why it has to be very, very clear. Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, you're saying like when they lend that money, they're charging the interest, but now that money is locked up, so they can't use it. So they just want it back, hopefully through the refinance, and so that they can lend it again.
Next question from Roger Dundas.
So, and that's why
Ray. Oh no, he says, Ray, do you offer private mortgages?
25 years is the bulk of what we do.
Oh, really?
Okay, so
Give my response.
they do.
Yeah, the bulk. We don't do a lot of first-time home buyers. I mean, the bulk of what I've done over the years is private lending.
Okay.
It's a different landscape.
Okay. Damian Alexander says, good morning.
Yes.
On track accounting solutions. Ray says, in the middle of paying down 2 pre-construction properties, will be able to leverage one and get a mortgage for the second one, or will the lending criteria be higher because of the overall total debt?
Oh.
I would have to know what the value of those properties are and what your down payment is. I couldn't give you a definite answer. But if you bought those properties prior to the market correcting, they're probably going to appraise for less than you bought them for. If they're in the GTA. I don't want to make any assumptions. This person is in the GTA actually. But if you bought those properties 2 years ago or a year ago, or even 6 months ago, it is a very high probability that will appraise for either the same thing you bought it for or possibly less. So, I couldn't give you a definite answer until I saw the numbers. But if you want us to take a quick look, I can give you my opinion at that point.
Okay. And Lorraine follows up. Credit is currently excellent. One property closes late 2026, early 27, and the other one mid 2027. So I would say get in contact with. Okay. She know that she can tell us that. Verna G from Jacksonville says, as I listen, it seems taking a private mortgage a short-term or stopgap measure to buying a home. That it seems that taking a private mortgage is a short-term or stopgap measure to buying a home. Do you agree with that, Ray?
Yes, it is. And a private mortgage use fee can benefit the borrower, right? I mean, if you, like, for example, if you bought a home from a builder, let's say you bought a condo, for example, 5 years ago, right, pre-construction for $400,000. Today it's worth 650, right? Even with the swing up and swing down, right? You can go to a private lender and finance that condo on the 650 value as opposed to the $400,000 value, right? So at 65% financing at 650, you got like a $500,000 mortgage. You can take all that cash out to that condo, providing if you rent it to someone, it will pay for itself. And then you've got an additional $100,000+ in your hand that you can now invest in other properties. Similarly, if you bought a home and you know you're changing jobs, for example, you're relocating, right? And this is more common in the US, where people move from state to state, state to city very, very often as they pursue better paying jobs. So you live in one city, you know, you live in New York or New Jersey, the tri-state area, and you're coming down to Georgia or to Florida or to the DMV area, and you're in between jobs. You can't qualify for a mortgage just through a bank. You take a private mortgage, 6 months to a year, but you know, you're an accounting professional. Your salary is going to be in the high six figures, right? So you know that I can buy now what I want instead of waiting, because prices are going up all the time, right? Particularly in the US, every day you wait, prices are changing. And not only changing, not the home you like, but the home you want in the area you want it to be. So you find the perfect home, but you don't have the necessary ingredients to qualify for the right mortgage. So you take the private funding, close your deal, and then you go job hunting, you move your family in slowly, and 6 months or a year later, you pay it off, right? But the challenge we have is when borrowers are in crisis and there's desperation, when you should be considering downsizing or selling your home, and you're trying to continue fix this leak that you've got in your family finances, and it's not being fixed. That is the real challenge. And those are the clients who will find themselves, particularly in today's environment, in a lot of problems. Because if you've got a second mortgage today at $150,000, your first mortgage, which is at 3%, if renewing in 6 months, it's going to renew between 5 and 7%, depending on your lender. So your payments are probably going to double on your first mortgage. Then you've got a second mortgage now at $1,400 a month.
Right.
If your income hasn't changed significantly in the last year, then how are you going to manage these two debt obligations? Right?
Absolutely.
The question is, do we sell and move to Sault Ste. Marie, or do we sell and rent? Because at somewhere along the line, you're going to start taking your credit cards and keep on borrowing to keep on servicing this mortgage debt. And we see it a whole lot, right? And it's a very, very difficult conversation. And we're having those conversations more frequently today than we had 3 years ago, because rates have increased significantly in the last 12 months.
Wow. Like, and so if you thought things are tough during the pandemic, they haven't gotten any better, family. All right.
Yeah, especially a lot of the uncertainty. Yeah.
Yes. Some more comments here. Fitness IQ Cam goes, wow. Dr. Tachi says this is very interesting. She says this has been great, fellas. As always, thank you, Ray. Excuse me. She has to jump off for a coaching call. Blessed weekend, everybody. Hey, what is up, Tim Frey? Thank you. Hey, appreciate any time, Tim. Okay, so Lorraine from On Track has some more details for you, Ray. It says 585,000 K for one, 785,000 K for the other. One in Pickering by the casino, one in Kitchener across from Google. That's where my brother works there, by the way.
Nice. In Kitchener? At that location?
And also she says, so she says yes, condo. So that's what you were asking, Ray, if they were condos.
I am surprised that folks are still investing in condos in GTA today. That's surprising to me at those prices, because their rent has to be around $6,000 a month. That need to make sense.
Whoa.
Well, one's in Pickering
that
and
sense,
one's
in my
in
opinion. But I don't have all the numbers.
Kitchener.
I can't make a.
Okay.
Yeah.
No problem.
Gotcha.
Okay. Ryan, any more comments?
No, it's just interesting how. Oh, because private mortgages can be, yeah, they can save you or they can cause you all this gray hair because it's so volatile. But getting that clarity is really appreciated, Ray. Thank you so much.
But it's an easy in, right? Because all I want to see is the appraised value of your property, the condition of the home, and where it's located. And then I will lend you up to a certain amount based on the location and condition, right? If you own more than one property, then what I'll do is cross-collateralize both properties.
Yeah.
So I'll take security on both these. A lot of clients don't even understand, a lot of boards don't even understand what that means, right? So, you've got two homes, they're both somewhere in Toronto. You're in a serious crisis. You need to raise $200,000 for whatever reason. You're paying off a spouse or something. And the lender says, we'll appraise both homes. The commitment only shows one property in it, but they register against both properties. So fast forward a year from now, you're trying to do something with the other property, and then you realize that there's a second mortgage in that home also because they register against both properties, right? And that's why it's very important that as a borrower who's going to access private funds, when you receive that mortgage commitment, that you have your own independent legal counsel review it for you and give you their perspective. And we don't do any transaction in our office where two lawyers aren't involved.
Right,
and we always tell clients to find their own legal counsel to act on their behalf, right? To hope that person's acting in your best interest, because the lender who is actually going to send us the commitment is acting in the lender's best interest. The lawyer, who send us their documents, is acting in the lender's best interest, not yours, right? Their role is to protect the lender's money, and they put all the clause there to protect the lender, not you. So you have to go to your own lawyer or sit down with your mortgage professional and go through that commitment line by line. And hopefully you are intelligent enough and understand the borrowing process to know what questions to ask. Because the challenge you've got is that most folks don't know what questions to ask. They got the money, problem solved. But you never find yourself in a bigger problem. Because you got to pay it back a year from now.
Yes.
And, we've all seen what's happening here. I don't want to dwell on this current situation, but this situation is a wake-up call for many people. Particularly in Canada, it's not as bad in the US. It's not just in the US, right? But here in Canada, you got 5-year mortgages. We all want the 5-year mortgages. So all mortgages are renewing, right? So you've got this situation now where you're renewing a mortgage from 2.5% or 3% to 4.5%, 5.5%, sometimes 7%. In the US, you've got 25 and 30-year mortgages. There's no renewal. The interest rate increase in the US is only affecting people buying homes today, not of existing mortgages. It's a very different conversation. So actually, there's a buying opportunity in the US today because prices are flat in many states and many cities. While here in Canada, even though prices have come down or are flat, the rates have gone up so much that the cost of borrowing is a more expensive home is exactly the same today in a less expensive home, or even more in some cases, significantly more, because you're coming at 5.5% or 7% on your mortgage, right? So I mean, it's a perfect case of buyer beware. In this case, borrower beware. Now, I'm not saying all private lenders are bad people or have bad products, but it's a numbers game. And if your property is worth less than it was worth a year ago, and you borrowed up to the max that's allowable under the Ontario and the provincial or federal guidelines, then how do you get out of that transaction? Okay. And which lender is going to be kind enough to take over this new transaction from you?
Right, because that's risky in itself.
Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to shut it down on Instagram. Thanks everyone who chimed in to catch part of this morning's Morning Vibe on Instagram Live. Want to suggest go to the Dr. Vibe. Hey, Jeff is up. What is up? You know what, Jeff Mark, just because you jumped in, I'll stay a little bit longer on the Instagram Live. All right, because you're a hard man to nail down. So one more, we got a question for you from someone you know, Ray.
All right.
So Stefan says, what are the benefits of a borrow? What are the benefits for a borrower should be aware of working with an individual private
Yes.
lender of a or MIC mortgage investment company?
Mm.
That's one of the primary benefits. You get a transaction done quickly. You got your appraisal done from close in case, right? There's less documentation required. And usually it's easy to explain challenges in your credit profile. They're easy to understand. They'll pay off certain debt. They pay off a consumer proposal, that sort of stuff. So there's a lot of benefits for a private lender. And as I mentioned earlier, if you're an investor, it makes a lot of sense. That's what you're doing. If you're a real investor, not buying properties and hope they go up in value or hope you can rent them. If you have a clear investment plan for investing in real estate, then it makes a lot of sense to work with a private lender, the same lender or the same MIC on a continuous basis to get your deals done. You get in very quickly, you close your deal, you do what adjustments you need to get done, either to the property or to your personal situation, and then you refinance it 6 months or a year down the road, and you move into a low rate environment. So to me, the biggest benefit is probably speed. How fast you can get the deal done once the appraisal is in place.
All right.
Time is money, right?
I am now going to shut it down on Instagram. Mr. Martin, Jeff A.D. Martin, I just wanted to hail you up and extend it because you were in the house. He won Wosini. I hope I got that right. That's my head, not my heart if I got it wrong. And Mistro_7. We're ending the Instagram live. If you want to catch the full conversation, go to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube. You'll catch the conversation. Also, subscribe and hit the notification button. Right back at you, Jeff A.D. Martin. So for those on Instagram, remember to give yourself grace and don't just manage your time, manage energy. And Jeff A.D. Martin, when are you coming on the Morning Vibe? The gauntlet has been laid down. All right. So we got some more comments here. Frequency events, Mr. Real Estate Ray. When is your real estate book going to be ready? We can design it for you and we can print it for you. Oh God.
Yeah, I'd read it. I'm ready.
All right. Lorraine says, best of days to everyone. I have a 10 a.m. Zoom. Ray, we'll be calling you soon. Great topic. Thanks, gentlemen. And hi, Tim Frey. Frequency, man, Tim Frey, you're popular. How are you, good sir? We'll be reaching out shortly. And okay, so question from Verna G. What is the reason for property values decreasing in Canada?
Oh boy, that might be a topic for a whole episode.
Inventory.
Yes.
Increasing inventory with rising rates. Many people have started to downsize, to sell and rent. There are many people who can't get their mortgage renewed, so they've been selling. And then you've got with the stress test here and the qualification being more challenging, there are less active buyers in the market. So many young buyers can't qualify today. There's all the time with the properties come on the market every month, every quarter, every year. It's normal. The basic movement of supply and demand. So they're coming onto the market, but the buyers can't qualify for them, right? So I mean, 2 years ago, I was telling my son, like properties in Pure was probably 95 is the median price, and I was telling him, I hope the rates start to go up. I mean, this is not going to be a popular opinion to the audience, but for me, it's a very logical reason, right? It may be somewhat selfish. My team, I hope they go up so that properties will correct in price down to around the 17. They really work because we had a huge run up in values over the last 10 years. It's unsustainable because prices went up in properties, but incomes didn't change. When you look at the property appreciation, the quality change in people's salaries, there's no correlation. So there didn't be an adjustment in property values, right? The challenge we have with many borrowers is that they use their homes as bank machines to finance their lifestyle. So if the values start to come down now, many of them, instead of having a mortgage and just paying it off for 25 years, they've been taking cash out every 3 or 4 or 5 years. So that $200,000 more is now $700,000. So the correction, the downward correction affects you negatively. But if I bought my house 25 years ago, that's it. I'm now mortgage free. So I don't really care what the value is. It's irrelevant to me. The value is only important when you need to either one sell it or refinance it. If I'm living in my house with no mortgage or a very small mortgage, where the house is worth $1 million or worth $400,000, it's not a big deal. I don't plan to sell my home. I plan to die in it. But if you plan to sell it or refinance it, then you are now concerned with adjustment. So we've had this adjustment over the last few months to push values down. So we're down by about 20% in value across most of the GTA. Right? But in the US, you haven't had that. What you've had in the US is homes stay in the market longer before they're sold. Right? But the values haven't changed significantly. You've had deals falling through because the rates have gone up. And if you did your numbers on 5%, and rates are now 5%, and your salary hasn't changed, right? And you didn't go back and make your adjustment on your pre-approval, when you find a house that you were qualified for 5 months ago, and you go and try to make an offer today, you'll find that instead of being able to afford a 260 mortgage, you can only afford a 210 mortgage. The deal falls apart, right? And you adjust your budget and you buy it a little lower. But here in Canada, it's a very, very different environment, right? Our price differentials are hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? So that's what we're seeing here as opposed to down south.
Gotcha.
Okay. Well, I think we'll put a bow and wrap it up today for today's conversation. Ray, as always, want to thank you for taking your time. And Verna G's is saying thank you for that extensive explanation, Ray. Well done. So Ray, as always, want to thank you for have your time to share with our audience as usual. We appreciate you. We appreciate all that you, Stefan, have done, are doing, will be doing, not only here in Canada, but in other places as well. Do you have any final comments you want to share with our audience?
First, I want to apologize for poor internet. It's quite hilarious to me because, as you know, I was down south I was in South America for the last 2 months. My Wi-Fi was good. Now I'm back in the first world nation, and my Wi-Fi is total crap. So we all need to move south, man. This ain't really working out for us.
Yeah, like where's the benefit?
I got Bell 5G, like. I was all hyped up to sit in front of my pictures and do this stuff, and I come here and I can't find Wi-Fi and I'm freezing. And I lost my whole flow. You know what I mean? So I need to leave here back. I need to leave here as fast as go back into the bush, man. So you got
well, don't leave, Ray, without me seeing you. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, Ray. And I know you'll be back in the bush soon. So have a great day. We'll be in touch. Take care. He was going to go back in the bush.
Hey, if the bush has good Wi-Fi, why be in the cold? Like, that's the only thing keeping us from down there.
So what's been going on in your world? You came in at that. What's coming up? What's been going on over the week, or what are you coming up for over the weekend?
So today at noon, we're actually doing a workshop about AI and how to boost our LinkedIn presence. So Laura Scarlett, she's going to be walking us through how to use different AI tools to, make better connections and increase sales using LinkedIn. So looking forward to that. It's actually going to be in person downtown Toronto. So I gotta hit the road to go and get
especially with especially with rain.
Yeah. But Sunday, I'm looking forward to seeing Cesar. He's coming into town to come to the Black Empowerment Think Tank conversation. So looking forward to having that Sunday afternoon. But Saturday's quiet, and just looking forward to that. Maybe, I don't know, if you're not busy, you'll be able to pop in, but it is in Brampton, but it's also virtual, so you can just pop in online if you can't make it. If your passport's not checked, I know immigration was giving you trouble the last time you tried to come across Young Street, but we'll vouch for you. We'll write a letter of support for you. Yes.
Well, that is cool. Also want to shout out Colin Williams. Great wisdom, fam. Keep it going. Good to hear. This was great. Thank you. No problem. Dr. Tachi, I got to reach out to you. We got to get an update on what's going on with Indie Soup Media.
Yes.
But that, so a few things here. Final comments, and we're not going to stay long because Ryan's got to be Boogie Down Productions to fight traffic. So frequency goes off topic, but what a great presentation from our guy Mario Armstrong the other day. Yeah, the brand sponsorship summit was epic. And not because I was on one of the panels. The information that was shared there, more than just sponsorship stuff, from pitching, negotiation, and he had an hour and a half panel with industry experts. Wow. And I'm already having conversations with them offline. So that was fantastic. Frequency says, you insert great value in your presentation and talking points as well. Thank you very much. Dr. Tachi doesn't even live here. She goes, no, not come across Young Street.
Yes.
Somebody, I know Dr. Tachi. I think Dr. Tachi, you were there as well. It was amazing. It was crazy because I had about 20 people follow me on Instagram.
Right. See, that exposure is powerful.
Yeah, and believe it or not, I spent last night sending video messages of thanks to each one of them.
Yes.
Yes, so Dr. Tachi, because Dr. Tachi, you had a show at the same time. She goes, yes, the summit was great for the amount. Yeah, well, that's the replay. I think by Monday, Mary will have the replay available for purchase. Whatever it costs, take it. And I want to hail up anyone who went to the summit because you found a way. Over 3.5 hours of great knowledge for $23.21 US. $30 US. And I tried to get it out to as many people. I saw a few people jump in, and I know they only had 125 seats. They went past that. Like they had to open up more seats for the actual event. So it was really good. So that's it for today's conversation. Again, thanks for bearing with the bad Wi-Fi. Sometimes you can't do anything with technology, family. Just what it is, they say. But so on Monday, let me just pronounce it really quick. You have Brian has introduced me to site. Yeah, Anik Brantford, the executive director of Help a Girl Out, and then next Friday we have Anthony Henry of the Walnut Foundation. The Walnut Foundation is dedicated to helping in the area of Black men and prostate cancer. You can watch replays of this epic conversation. You know what? That's the wrong banner. I just totally noticed that. You can watch this. This is the right. If it posts now, the technical challenges today. Yeah. There we go. Yeah. Okay, you can watch replays of the Morning Vibe Show, the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and Facebook, Afro Caribbean Business Network, Facebook and YouTube, and Ryan O'Neill Knight, YouTube and LinkedIn. You hear how popular Ryan is? You hear all the notifications in the background?
Oh, it's my Google Maps saying, have you left?
You have announced. Oh, okay, no problem. So, two last things. Ryan Singh,
Ryan.
Great. Have another epic conversation. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, we are out. Have a good one, folks. We'll see you on the digital highway. Remember, don't just live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions, aim bigger, aim better, aim higher and wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember to give yourselves grace and don't just manage your time, manage your energy. God bless. Peace, well, keep the faith and walk good. Later.